You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Hello everyone, it's Core and we're back with another mod spotlight video. In today's heaping helping of fun, we're taking a look at a variety of vehicle mods that serve to expand the roster of Vroom Vroom in Zomboid, and even to add some new and interesting features for your game. We got vehicles that till and seed the earth, to trucks that can pump a lot of water wherever you need it, and even a bulldozer. Become the Killdozer. A threat to all those who would push around the little man until he eventually snaps. But before we dive into this showcase, I'd like to thank today's artist Katophoenix for her lovely artwork. And I want to thank each of y'all for the support on the videos. Y'all's likes and feedback really help me to improve the videos. But enough of that. Let's dive in with our first mod, shall we? Kicking off today's video is the AgroTsar Agricultural Vehicles mod by Nestor Nova, Noctis Falco, Troy McClure, Aragon, Mr. Danny, and Ibris. This mod makes farming a quick and simple affair if you can locate the tractor and the two trailers that make up this mod. First is the Oleg Deere 48342, a large durable tractor which is also as slow as can be. Like, it goes faster in reverse, but don't try to reverse with a trailer or you'll just run it over. While you could drive this thing on roads, I highly recommend you only use it for its farming purposes. This vehicle is special though, as it's the only vehicle that can make the two trailers function as anything more than a decorative prop or mediocre storage. Once you've hooked up one trailer or the other, using the V button radial ring, then hop in the vehicle, and when you want to use the trailer's functions, press V and select the device and turn it on. Now let's talk about the two towable trailers that make this mod more interesting. First off the bat is the AgroTsar Plow 69. Nice. This baby allows you to plow 2 rows at a time with the press of a button. Attach it to the tractor, line up the vehicle, drop the plow blades, and drive until your line's good enough for you. And once you've got your field nice and plowed, bring the blades up, and it's time to bring in our next contestant. Who's that stepping up to the plate? Why, it's the AgroTsar Seeder 2000. This bad boy can seed 2 crop rows at a time with potentially 2 different crops if that's what you desire. Just aim, line it up with the row you plowed, and activate the seeder, and drive on down until it's all seeded. Oh no though, you struck a rock and destroyed one of your plows or your seeder plates. Well, have no fear, as long as you can find the machinery and agricultural magazine, which teaches you all the recipes you'll need to make replacement parts for the trailers, then all you'll need is a fairly high metalworking skill and you're good to go. Honestly, I'm glad that this mod gives more uses to metalworking, as it's a fairly lackluster skill on its own. Honestly, I see this mod being very useful on a server style setting, somewhere that people can work together to establish settlements that would require agriculture on the scale that this mod makes it possible. Let's be fair, one single player doesn't need something like this to feed themselves, but for a large settlement, or if you're running with an NPC mod or NPCs have finally released, this could save dozens of man hours. Honestly, my biggest complaint is that just the tractor could use a bit more oomph in the engine, as even with Speed Demon, it struggles to do more than 5 to 10 miles per hour, except bafflingly in reverse when it goes new. Still, the team's done a fantastic job with this mod, and it shows. I look forward to even more of their work in the future. The next mod up to bat is Tread's Water Tank Trucks by Treelac, which adds a whole host of new water tanks and methods to haul around large sources of clean or dirty water, adding 4 or 5 if you use Filibuster's used car mods and you want to enable it, which adds a fire truck as well. Now, one thing all of these vehicles and trailers have in common is the ability to pump water either to or from sources of water. If you could secure a water tank early, you could store up to 3,000 units of water early by driving the vehicle up to a window and pumping out water from the sink. You can also pump from dirty sources of water such as lakes or rivers, but this will get you 3,000 units of tainted water. But that being said, this water could still be used in a couple different ways. You could use the water to clean your clothes, you could use the water for crops, or you could pump it up to a floor above the car using a sink into water bales that are plumbed into said sinks, which will filter the water, which if you have a second pump truck, you could pump the now clean water into that truck. Now let's start from the smallest and work our way up, shall we? This is the water tank trailer, which can be hooked up to any vehicle with a hitch point, like say a pickup truck. This will let you haul up around 1,500 units of water anywhere you want to take it. Obviously depends on the water tank's durability, because like any other vehicle, the more parts damaged, the less effective it becomes. Next up is the vacuum truck. This will never be able to give you clean water, as it's permanently tainted from being used to clean up liquid waste spillages, such as sewage or bodily waste, but this vehicle can still hold 3,000 units of water that can be used for other purposes, if that's what you're looking for. Now next up the bat is basically the same truck, but better in every regard, as it can hold pure clean drinking water and a whole lot of it. Getting a hold of one of these is a fantastic boon for any base, especially early game. And now the fourth and final vehicle I'm covering is the military water truck. This one is just as good as the previous water truck, but it also has a water filter part, which presumably will be able to be used in the future to filter water being pumped into it into clean drinkable water, making it so you don't even have to fuck around with any of the silly shenanigans I mentioned, like water barrels into a sink and all that. Overall, I'm impressed with the work here, and I could see myself incorporating this mod in particular in some of my live stream sessions, as getting a hold of one of these in a run would be fan-fucking-tastic. Now let's move on to the next mod, shall we? Have you ever wanted to live out the fantasy of being Master Chief but in other games? Well, hopefully this car mod will bring you one step closer, because thanks to KI5, we got the M12 Warthog now alive and ready for you to roll around the map just like the good old days. Just keep in mind that you don't have Chief strength, so if you somehow flip this one, you're fucked. This mod adds 3 variants of the Warthog, 6 if you count them with and without the doors, which hilarious enough, one of them has a Spiffos paint job, and the other's a police vehicle with KYPD. Talk about police militarization, sheesh, right? The KYPD ain't fucking around anymore, are they? The only downside is there's no mounted LMG on the back of the Warthog to let you and your friends mow down the horde in style. Though to be fair, that probably would get a little bit overpowered. At least you can still hang out the windows and pop the zombies. And I also like the fact that the hood opens and closes when you pop it for maintenance. It's a nice little visual flair. Have you ever wanted to just go full Killdozer? You need to blow off some steam after a bad day? Well, the Super Bulldozer mod by some guy I cannot read has you covered. Though before we begin, I would like to point out that likely due to the mod's name being in Asian characters, it doesn't show up in the mod list where you'd expect it to. Instead, it shows up at the very bottom with a blank name, so you have to scroll all the way down to click it. Now this mod, however, it's fucking fun. This bad boy plows down zombies at anything more than a bare minimum speed. Any zombie hit by the dozer blade, it's gone. Speaking of plowing down, this thing's absolutely perfect for the player who wants to carve roads into the wilderness and build their own city in the woods. I mean, the front of the dozer just carves trees down like they're made of butter and you're driving a hot knife. And speaking of, several parts, including the dozer blades, are indestructible, which means you can just run things over as much as you like. Finally, someone made a mod that gets me. I shall fear no tree while in this thing. While I do wish this thing would let me destroy other buildings and cars too, it's fair that it doesn't. Could you imagine just going through town after someone on a bulldozer goes wild and just 90% of the buildings have a bulldozer shaped hole in them? Overall though, it's a lot of fun, a very useful vehicle, especially if you're looking to cut down an ass load of trees or carve out a base in the woods and don't have the time nor energy to do it by hand. Because you know what? Fuck cutting down hundreds of trees with one axe. And now all we need is the ability to fill up the scoop and a dump truck to fill the wood and haul the wood all around. Picture this, it's the 90s. Everything's totally radical and gnarly, dude. Now, what's one of the most 80s and 90s things you can think of? That's right, skating. Now you too can embrace your inner Tony Hawk in Project Zomboid, at least for rolling around the map. Thanks to Dislike, we have the Skateboard Mod, and this thing's pretty damn dope. I mean, I was having a blast just drifting left and right through hordes juking zombies, and because it's a foot-powered mode of transportation that requires no gasoline, it's pretty much near silent, letting you avoid drawing the whole damn town after you when you just want to get from point A to point B. If you get in a pinch and you don't have a weapon on hand, you can also right-click the board, pick it up, and start beating zombies to death with it, which is pretty dope. But there is no way at the moment to repair it. Now then, there are a few issues which the mod creator is aware of, but not focusing on until the mod itself works better in multiplayer. But first is, there's issues picking up the skateboard at times, as the box can be finicky to right click. It's easier to pick up if you go for the wheels than the board itself. This next one is minor, but it's worth mentioning, as when you use the skateboard as a weapon, the blood textures will disappear when you place it back down the ride. This is nothing major, but it is amusing. The next issue, however, is the silliest. If you drive this thing backwards, you'll skate faster and seemingly more silent, as it doesn't make the skating noise, and it also won't make the skating animation because you're just going backwards. Also, for some reason, cruise control works, which when active will cancel the skating animation, though you do go slower than if you're actually skating. And the final bug is the fact that when you're on the board, a car seat appears which will let you stash items there when you really shouldn't be able to. I'd like to thank Alan McKell for the help with pointing out and tracking down some of these bugs, as I didn't find them all myself on my first playthrough with the mod. Thank you, buddy. Overall, though, the mod works well enough and it's fun, so take it for a spin and roll around the map. Overall, I think we covered a good variety of different mods today. Lots of unique stuff that really brings some new stuff to Zomboid. I mean, from trucks that haul huge asses piles of water around the map, to tractors with trailers that allow you to mass plant whole fields of crops, to a bulldozer that'll chop lumber down like no one's business, and a wicked little board that'll let you get around the city quickly and quietly. I mean, you know you got a good haul of mods when the Halo Warthog is the least interesting of the bunch. And that thing still looks dope as shit. Overall, my favorite mod of the bunch, however, is the Bulldozer or the water tanks. I mean, the Bulldozer has so many applications, especially in a server environment, and the water truck's a great way to supply settlements and keep supplies handy during the drier seasons or even in a drought. Plus, via feeding the water through sinks, you can even turn tainted sources of water into fresh water via the sink's filtration. I think, however, this is a good place to end the video. If you enjoyed the video and found some of the mods interesting, then hey, consider dropping a like on the video to increase the visibility of the channel, and subscribe for more content like this. Also, be sure to support the artists as they do fantastic work. I'd also like to thank the members of the channel for all of their support, as they helped me to make this a more full-time thing. This has been Core, and I'll see you next time.